Good morning. Thank you for the invitation to be here today. My pronouns are he, him, his. Activism and spirituality are two powerful forces that can be used to create positive change in the world. While they at times may seem like separate spheres, they are deeply interconnected. Spirituality provides a foundation for activism. A strong spiritual connection can give activists the courage, resilience, and motivation to keep fighting, even in the face of adversity. It can also help them stay grounded and centered in their work and to avoid burnout. Activism can be a form of spiritual practice. When we take action to create a more just and compassionate world, we are putting our spiritual values into practice. This can be a deeply fulfilling and transformative experience. In our world today, in our world today, we are faced with a multitude of challenges that demand our attention and our action. From climate change to social injustice, there is no shortage of the causes that need our voice and efforts. It is easy to become overwhelmed by the negativity that surrounds us. As an activist and a person of faith, I'm called to confront these injustices head on, and I'm called to speak out against oppression to work for a more just and equitable world. In the face of these challenges, it is easy to become consumed by activism. We can become so focused on the external world and the need for change that we neglect our own inner lives. We can get so caught up in the fight that we lose sight of the fire that burns within us, and then it consumes us. And this has happened to me more times than I care to admit. When I was living up in Virginia, going to First U of Richmond, I was co-chair of our Social Justice Committee. I was a volunteer for hospice. I was a volunteer with Planned Parenthood. I was a volunteer with Equality of Virginia, and I was still working. And one of the things I sacrificed because I was so busy was going to First U regularly. And this all led to massive burnout, and I had to take a break for a while. One of the most recent times, and probably the most serious of them, was when I moved back to Knoxville back in 2008. I started volunteering for, at the time, Planned Parenthood of Middle and East Tennessee. They eventually hired me to do grassroots organizing back in 2012 to try and defeat the anti-abortion amendment that we unfortunately passed in 2014. I was working only part-time, but that ended up being about 20 to 30 hours a week, and I was also working full-time at another job. And one of the things I sacrificed, once again, was my spiritual home, Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I was so consumed on trying to defeat this amendment. It was all I could think of, and I was angry all the time, and I knew I was starting to have health issues, but I just kept on going. And I ended up killing my liver, ironically, the organ that filters out poison and negativity in our blood. When I was in the hospital recovering from my transplant, I made a vow that I was going to spend more time with Unitarian Universalism, including TVUUC. And that's how I got reconnected with it. So activism without spirituality is like a fire without heat. It may be loud and visible, but it lacks the power to transform. It may generate a lot of smoke, but it does not provide the warmth and light we need to sustain our efforts. Activism without spirituality can be driven by anger, resentment, and a sense of hopelessness. Spirituality without activism can be inward-focused and lacking in a sense of social responsibility. Activism with spirituality is like a fire with heat. It is not just loud and visible, it is also warm and inviting. It's not just about generating smoke, it's about providing light and guidance. When I'm connected to my spirituality, my activism is fueled by a deeper sense of purpose. I'm not just fighting for change, I am fighting for something that I believe in with all my heart. I'm not just trying to make the world a better place, I am trying to embody the change I want to see. And so spirituality is the source of my inner fire. It is the wellspring from which my deepest motivations and commitments flow. It is the force that gives me the strength to keep going when it gets tough, and it's been tough lately. But when activism becomes the sole focus of our lives, like I talked about with the example of me, it can lead to burnout and despair, and that's what happened. However, when I've had a strong spiritual foundation, I've been able to sustain it. And activism can be a draining and demanding endeavor. It is important to remember that, for me, I cannot pour from an empty cup. If I am not taking care of my own spiritual well-being and finding some sort of anchor, I won't be able to sustain the pace. So without a spiritual anchor, love drifts into hate, and drinking only from this cup of sorrow, it becomes a poison. Anger and bitterness consume the soul, leaving a void. But a spiritual anchor is something that provides me with a sense of grounding, stability, and purpose in my life. It's a powerful tool for activists. It can also give us a sense of purpose and meaning, reminding us of why we were doing this work in the first place. And here are some of the ways that a spiritual anchor can support activism. It can give us the strength and courage to stand up for what we believe in, even when it's difficult. It can help us stay focused on our goals and to persevere in the face of adversity. It can help us to develop compassion and empathy for others, which is essential for effective activism. It can provide us with a sense of belonging and community, which can work to support us. And here are some examples of how activists have used those spiritual anchors. Martin Luther King Jr. was inspired by his Christian faith to fight for racial justice. Greta Thunberg is motivated by her belief in the interconnectedness of all life and to work to protect the planet. Gandhi used his Hindu faith to guide his nonviolent resistance to the British in India. And these are just a few examples of how a spiritual anchor can support activism. We are into a new year, barely, and it's going to be fraught with some very dire possibilities, some of which are already happening. I have a sense of deja vu that we've been here a few times in the recent history, and we have been, but this time it feels heavier. Reproductive rights are hanging by a thread nationally. We have Nazis and actual fascists marching in the streets of downtown Nashville. I'm very, very, very concerned about my friends in the LGBT community, some of which are terrified and have moved to hopefully will be a safe place to live. Immigrants are facing mass deportation, which has already begun. Our government has been bought by oligarchs, and a wannabe authoritarian is the leader of the country. Let's all take a deep breath, because it's a lot. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to be people of hope. We are called to hold on to the belief that a better world is possible, even in the face of overwhelming challenges. We are called to cultivate a spirit of resilience and to work for justice and compassion in all that we do. Hope, is described by Howard Zinn, as not merely a naive optimism that ignores the harsh realities of the world. It is grounded in informed perspective that recognizes both the darkness and the light in human history. It is a choice to focus on possibilities for transformation and have inspiration from the countless acts of courage, kindness, and love that have shaped our world. Václav Havel, the Czech playwright, dissident, and eventually the first democratically elected president of Czechoslovakia after the fall of communism, exemplified this unwavering hope. Even from the confines of his prison cell, he envisioned a future of freedom and democracy for his country. Havel's hope was not rooted in the predication of success, but in an orientation of the spirit, a commitment to working for what is good regardless of the odds. Hope is not about predicting a positive outcome. It is about finding meaning and purpose in our actions regardless of the results. It is an unwavering belief that something makes sense, that our lives have inherent value, and that our efforts to create a better world are not in vain. I let go of chasing the outcome in my activism a long time ago. I've worked for reproductive rights for a good portion of my life, and I've been through some very hard campaigns that I've been on the losing end more than I've won. And it's rough right now. There may be a national abortion ban in the near future. I don't think I'm going to be around when all this gets fixed, and I'm okay with that. My hope is that the work I'm doing will be building blocks for a better tomorrow. Hope in this sense is not a passive waiting for things to improve. It is an active engagement with the world, a willingness to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty in the work of building a more just and compassionate society. But how do we sustain hope in the face of such daunting challenges as we have here in the U.S., as we have here in our state, as we have here in our city? How do we avoid becoming consumed by the negativity, the burnout that can come from fighting for justice in a world that often feels resistant to change? The answer for me lies in nurturing the connection between my spirituality and activism. Spirituality that connects me to something larger than myself. It provides the foundation of my activism. It gives me courage, resilience, and motivation to keep fighting, even in the face of adversity. It reminds me that I'm not alone, that I'm part of a larger tapestry of individuals working towards a common goal. My spiritual anchor is grounding me in the midst of the storm that we are in right now. It allows me to tap into a source that is greater than myself, but just as activism needs spirituality, spirituality needs activism. Without action, faith becomes stagnant, disconnected from the real-world struggles of those around us. Our values must be lived, not just spoken. So how do we tend this inner flame, this interplay between spirituality and activism? Connect with your spiritual anchor daily, whether through meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, or engaging with your faith community. Nurture that connection to something larger than yourself. Reflect on your values. How do your spiritual beliefs inform your activism? What are you fighting for, and why is it important? And find community. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who share your passion for justice. And practice self-care, self-care, self-care. If you're on a plane and it starts having trouble and the oxygen masks come down, you're asked to grab the mask first so that you can then help others put it on. Take time to rest, recharge, and nurture your own well-being. So I tend to my spiritual needs, nurturing the love that resides within. And when I do this, I know that no matter what comes my way, I will have the strength to face it. And one of the ways that I've combined my spirituality and activism was to start working on a state action network trying to connect the 14 congregations here in Tennessee to become a state action network. Several of us from different UU congregations in the state have been working on this nascent action network, and last Saturday we had our first retreat. Reverend Laurie was there, Colin Loring was there. It was pretty amazing. I had no expectations. I didn't know what was going to happen, and the energy that came out of that and the looking forward, that's what helped me get through to Monday when he got inaugurated. And it's still, I mean, it was just the energy and the excitement. It's really helped my hope. There's much work to be done in Tennessee and our whole country as well on matters of LGBTI justice, voter education, reproductive freedom. We are stronger together, and being a united voice here in Tennessee is so very important. We, the voices of people of faith, have far too long been dominated by the religious right. I know it can be scary speaking up here in Tennessee about our values. And it may not seem like there are many of us, but there are, and the more of us who do speak our truth, and the more others will feel emboldened to speak up as well. And if you'd like to know more about the State Action Network, I'll be around afterwards, and we'd be happy to talk with you about it. In that excerpt from Parker Palmer, he warned about the dangers of losing our moral bearings and becoming lost in the chaos of the world. However, he offered hope that we are always within reach of that house. The key is to be aware of that blizzard and to take steps to find our way back home. And that is what Unitarian Universalism is to me. It is one of the guide ropes that helps lead me back again to the spirit of life and my spiritual home. Unitarian Universalism is the container I have where I can be more my authentic self and have my cup filled. I hope that guide rope also helps you or anyone else who is looking refuge from this storm find your way back home. People in our neighborhoods, our cities, our states, our country are out there looking for refuge. And hopefully that's what we will be as a denomination, as a church, as a people. As Unitarian Universalists, we are inheritors of a rich and diverse religious tradition that is championing the cause of hope. Our faith is rooted in our shared values. In the interplay, we find a synergy that can transform our world. Our spiritual beliefs call us to live justly, love deeply, and seek the common good. Our activism becomes a sacred response to the call, a way to embody our faith and make the world a better place. And as we leave this sacred gathering today, may we remember that our spirituality and activism do not have to be separate. They can be a harmonious and powerful force for change, reminding us that the sacred and the just are interconnected aspects of the same path toward a more compassionate, equitable, and loving world. And let us also remember that we are not alone. We are part of a larger community, a tapestry of diverse individuals, united by shared values and a common vision for a better world. So let us tend to our inner flame, nurturing the hope that fuels our activism. Let us be fires that burn with compassion, wisdom, and love, illuminating the path towards a more just and equitable world. Blessed be, may it be so.